Alright, so as mentioned, our two heroes have crash landed on Novalis.
Well, it's damaged, but I fixed worse. Come on, maybe there's someone in town who can help
And
us.
that's your excuse. Remember, even in the original game, your ship
Wait a
was
second. Is that
damaged and you needed to
Veritanium?
find a
Maybe
way
we
to
should
fix
upgrade
it.
our weapons first.
And yes, as you can see, they replicated not just the look, but the sequence of Novalis from the original game pretty well, actually.
Again, all the levels that were not tied to the movie are recreated one-to-one, no exceptions. Um, that being said, like I said, a couple of planets were cut away. I argue some of the more superfluous one, like say the snowy planet where there was the missile that you needed to stop, or the wooden planet where you need to stop the tree cutting, for example. But at the very least, this gives also an excuse to expand more on the movie. It's all-out war now, where the Blargs, after being hibernating for 50 years, as Juanita said, now are waging war in the entirety of Solana to aggressively try to create their own planet.
And of course, Drek, being a businessman, does his best to showcase it as a good thing for the galaxy.
We'll get all about later. So, another thing that he did not mention, there was, believe it or not, a pre-order bonus for this game, the Bouncer. Believe it or not, yes, one of the more iconic weapons of the franchise, and one of my personal favorite, the Bouncer, was a pre-order exclusive. If you did not pre-order the game, tough shit. You wanna know where they actually bother to, relent and actually make it as a free DLC for the game? I think it was something like 2022 or something. Like, you had to wait at the very least 4 to 6 years before they actually bothered to, unlock that. Not even
not only that, but by that point, barely anyone cared about this game
to be
since
fair,
Rift Apart made it.
It coincided with the incentivize of playing these on the PS5. I get that.
That is true, though. Again, I feel like a lot of people. Well, not everyone, obviously, but a lot of people have kind of forgotten about this game and left it by the wayside. Like, yes, it is great to play it on PS5 and finally have it at a much more better frame rate, essentially. The thing is, though, like we mentioned, a lot of people weren't even really a fan of this game or the project as a whole, so unless you were somebody who, A, liked this game enough to have kept it long enough, or B, even really cared enough, it wasn't really going to do much to you. Like, I feel like,
I think Sony actually released the game for free during one of its Days of Play initiative.
Okay, that definitely helps. In that case, I could definitely see people giving it a try, especially if it's for free. Which, hey, I guess makes it still a bit. Which, hey, makes it a better purchase than Quest for Booty, sadly. No, I'm not letting it go that game is overpriced for as little as it does.
Speaking of which,
so,
I don't remember how much this game costed when it was released, but I think it was $40 still, I think.
I'm pretty sure it was 40 as well, let me just check.
Well, how much it is now, not sure how reflective it is, but still.
Let's see. Nowadays, it typically goes for like, okay, on PlayStation Hits, it can range from $9.99 to $19.99.
That's usually the price for the PlayStation Hits. Is Sony halving the price, usually, of their titles, to make them more accessible, particularly the older ones.
Anyway, going off of Amazon, typically $20, essentially, on average.
Again,
so, not terrible.
Yeah, again, and we just need to think that at launch it costed more than that, but probably not that much. Again, $40 probably. So, alright, if you recall, in the original game, this is where you meet the plumber, and so it is here. However, you might notice that similar to the movie, a lot of humor has been neutered because you get the same angle, but no plumber's crank joke. At the very least, they got Jester Nell to voice him.
I don't think so. Huh.
Yeah, like this dialogue, look how stiff the animation for Ratchet is when he talks to the plumber.
Also, yeah, the proportions on the plumber seem weird. Like, he still has that stocky, somewhat chubby frame, but his arms are a lot more thinner now. Like, they couldn't decide if they wanted to make his arms flabby or muscular.
And, here's a news that you may like or dislike. Compared to the original game, you don't have to pay any more bolts for the info bots. Everything is given for free to you.
I'm Alonzo Drek, chairman of Drek.
I guess this is the version where they realize, oh yeah, these are our best hope of surviving, so let's just give them help for free.
The answer is simple.
Anyway, in this game, not counting the movie scenes, Drek is played by Eric Bauza, who's a pretty good voice actor.
I get the idea they just wanted to have someone that sounded like Paul Giamatti, but it's still dickish that they did not have Kevin Michael Richardson at all for this.
Yeah, it does feel weird that they didn't just bring back Kevin Michael Richardson. Like, okay, I get it. They want to make him sound like the movie version. And Eric Bauza is a great voice actor. In fact, he is the current voice actor of Bugs Bunny and a good chunk of the Looney Tunes.
Yes.
Basically, he's basically this generation's current Mel Blanc, essentially.
I like that.
A CEO having a little transportation trouble. Why don't I meet you by your ship?
So yeah, in the original game, if you recall, the mayor gave you his ship, but instead here the plumber will be offering to fix you, to fix that instead.
Well, it does look like the fastest way down. Let's give it a shot.
Now I don't remember.
Music?
It has
Okay,
been.
it is.
It has been a while, so I don't remember if the whole "did he just lie down a super pipe" joke was there in the original game. So I'm not super eager to say, oh, it's this game doing a "did I just do that?" That's actually a good segue.
Ow.
Yeah. No, let's not do that again. However, the plumber will not fix our ship until we rescue the mayor. That's basically your hint of doing everything you can on Novalis. That's a good segue, however, Jova, because and a thing that you might have noticed is that none of the music from the original game gets a remix here. Instead, it's just new generic orchestral stuff that tries to mimic what the movie did. And again, the official reasoning that Insomniac did mention in interviews was that they believed even remixing that the music from the original game would not fit the tone this game was going for, which is just an excuse if you ask me. Like, I get it, because they wanted to have the more, pompous orchestral score that the movie had and everything, but I don't know, man.
Nah, I'm sorry, like, dudes, look at this. This game is clearly going more for, in a sense, what the original game was doing for sections like these. You can afford to have more video gamey music, whatever that term means. Like, the funny thing is, so for people who may not be as adept as we are with video games, some consider music we listen to just be video game music, whatever that is supposed to mean, like music that comes from video games. But in that regard, though, a term like video game music kind of feels a little too general, since video game music is, well, essentially just music that goes for a video game, essentially. It can have multiple genres and whatnot. Sure, yeah, there are those occasional times where it feels like this is something that was strictly made for a video game, but especially in this day and age, we're hearing classical tracks, rock tracks, operettas and whatnot even. Banks Conquers Bad Fur Day. Yeah.
It really just depends. It just has to be compared to instead to movies, the soundtracks of anything. And sometimes they manage to double over, like in the case of Silent Hill projects, where Akira Yamaoka is thankfully, called to actually reprise his voice composer for those really far out concepts, I know.
Like, I guess I'll give the 7 Remake project credit. Nobuo Matsu is technically part of the project, he's kind of ghost composing
Well,
stuff,
from
from
what
what
I
I
know from
understand.
interviews, he just basically handles the vocal themes, similar to the 14 expansions.
I think he did give some input on a lot of the remixes and whatnot, at least for like the first chunk of the
I mean,
remake.
at the end of
I
the
don't
day,
know how much he did for Rebirth.
At the end of the day, it's still just Masashi Amazu and his entourage lobbying basically screaming at the camera. Listen how much we love Danny Elfman and John Williams.
Yeah, like, I wonder, did it just start with 13.2, or were they already doing, like, the Batman
First,
stuff
I
even
argue
before
13
that
too,
one?
because Masashi Amazu, as I mentioned in interviews, became famous thanks to his score for Unlimited Saga on the PS2. But that one is more techno stuff that you more know about the 13 games, one that is more divisive, you know. But when it came to actually handle an orchestra, I was like, no, sign me up, for ripping off Star Wars. And again, ripping off is a bit more of a strong term, but you can definitely tell that he's a fan of that. Again, if you had a keen hearing when we did the Star Wars Battlefront 2 2005, you probably have heard, audience, that in other places they did use the score that he used for 13.2 and the 7 Remake Saga. That surprisingly fits, because, it has similar notes, instruments, and rhythms. That rhythm that it has,
You know, the funny thing is, thanks to Tetsuya Nomura, we now know what a Batman game by Square Enix might look like.
Be very afraid. If anything, I'm more thinking about how instead the Kingdom Hearts was the game franchise that tried to have more Star Wars-esque type of plot, to the point where people compare the different climaxes of Birth by Sleep to the climax of Episode 3, and yet it's in another medium that we have the composer that tries to have Star Wars-esque music.
Which is
Wrap
funny
your head
because
around
for Birth by Sleep, we literally have Star Trek versus Star Wars with Leonard Nimoy and
for the
Mark
English
flipping
stuff.
Hamill.
Well, as for me, in terms of like stuff that the weird Square Enix coat of paint on it, one of the ones that come to my mind most recently is when they had Yoshitaka Amano do a bit of art for Gex.
That was
to celebrate that upcoming.
That was basically a joke that limited run games wanted to do, because hey, Gex is owned by Square Enix. Let's be cheeky about that, shall we?
Reminds me, have Square even commented on them owning Gex to this day?
No, they just want the paycheck, Jova. That's it.
You are now imagining Gex showing up in Angel's Egg with that Yoshitaka Amano
That's
art.
not something that is owned by Square Enix, thankfully. No,
Well, of course
if
not.
anything, remember, that's why instead the character was it showed up in Astro Ball before the Final Fantasy stuff.
And that reminds me, by the time of this recording, I believe the final official dub of Angel's Egg should be in theaters by
Yes,
now.
I finally got to see that, and yeah, it's a nice experience. It's a nice experience on the big screen. The Italian dub takes a bit of liberties, not necessarily for translating, but to do the I forgot the name. Basically, the person who translated background story for the PS1, as in, it's technically the same script, but it's presented in a more elegant kind of way, instead of having the dialogue being more colloquial between the characters. So it tries to elevate the quality, quote unquote, to be something more akin to a poem or all this stuff. While I argue we didn't really need it. That yes, it's not. It's not particularly that big of a deal, but by the same token, it's superfluous. So it's the whole appeal to triviality kind of dilemma.
Do they like employ some of those tricks to like give the characters more dialogue with, some of the more faraway shots and whatnot than what they had in the
thank
original?
God they didn't. They actually, no, like I said, the dialogue is technically translated literally. It's just that instead of saying something akin to say, hypothetical scenario, I want to eat something. Instead, a character will have to say, I shall procure substance to satisfy my famish. Something like that.
Okay, so it turns into a Socrates debate, essentially.
This is what I mean, because unfortunately, that's what has been happening for a while for some of the recent dubs for Studio Ghibli made movies. Basically, my country had this translator that I mentioned a couple of times called Canarsi, where he loves to do that kind of stuff. And again, like I said, there's technically nothing wrong, because at the end of the day, you're still translating literally the script, which I'm fine with, compared to stuff like what happens with the recent Dragon Quest games. But the stuff that now the other Italian friends of Deji told me about Dragon Quest 11 is borderline criminal. There are literal, pieces where the character is saying like 2 words in general, and instead the text box will have an entire fucking poem in it.
Like, that legit makes me wonder. Like, it sounds like they would have had to have employed some dubbing tricks over in your country if they suddenly expanded the characters' way of speaking to...
My country's VAs are used to actually take a faster rhythm if they have to stay in line.
Ah, so the old-fashioned way of basically talking really fast like this!
Yes, but not making it that awkward, that's what I mean. There's not basically an art to that, obviously, but again, it's hard to describe just like that. Anyway, to be more on point, again, similar to the original, now we're about to rescue the mayor. Although, interestingly enough, we're gonna add a bit of tidbit that connects a bit better to what we're about to see. You'll be able to see as soon as we defeat the Blargs squads.
Thank you. I thought we were done for sure.
We are happy to be of assistance.
Hey, Billy.
Trying to kill you.
It's my nephew, Skidman.
So apparently Skidman Max is the nephew of the mayor of Novalis. I don't remember if detail was in the original.
And the Blarg have been after me ever since.
Here, take a look.
And also they give a new motivation for Skidman Max to be on Iridia. Instead of crash landing there, the building that was under construction in the original is basically a new store that he's building.
Hey, I forget if...
I don't mind this kind of change, although for some reason Skidman Max is more yellowish than green in this.
Weird. Anyway, I forget if he was the mayor in the original. I don't think he was, but here Mayor Buckwash is played by Richard Stephen Horvitz.
No, definitely he wasn't. In the original it was someone else, I forgot who.
Yeah, because if I recall correctly, Richard only joined like in the future series.
Yes, and the reason why Skidman Max is haunted by the Blargs is because they accidentally gave to him the plans for the hardware displacer that will be used on Tokitaru. Oops.
My god, characters from the original story!
Not to
Imagine!
mention, making it, it's also compared to the original game, they've ever to connect a bit more the events of the different planets rather than to make them more separate from each other. Again, there's genuine effort going on in trying to present the story of the original, but at the same time make it more seamless and trying to pose the question, what will happen if the Blargs had something the equivalent of an all-out war rather than just, having free reign like they had in the original game and only Ratchet and Clank were able to stop them.
And so, Ratchet and Clank set out to fix their ship with the help of the plumber. Little did they know they would soon come so close to greatness, they'd be able to hear its mighty biceps ripple. But first, they'd have to tackle a brain-eating zombie T-Rex.
Quark. Yeah, just...
I don't recall no brain-eating zombie T-Rex.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, just no Quark. There you go.
Hey, Quark. Quark, how did you know about the parts that you weren't there for?
I promise. Thanks for your help.
No problem.
You see, we all agree that parts of the story are really boring, so I wanted to spice it up a little.
Again,
You know,
the
that
Plumber
joke is unintentionally hilarious given the fact that, well, yeah, this was pretty much going to be the end of the reboot anyway.
Again, the Plumber has always been the more meta kind of character, so again, I'm fine with this kind of, you know, personality. So, we can go to Kerwan immediately with the ship fixed, but instead the next part is you'll be able to see we're gonna go directly to Aurelia to help to skid Mad Max. So again, join us in the next part where we boldly go where the movie has not gone. To see over that.
See ya.
See you then.